Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jen and this is Jen Restyle Fashion. Today I am sharing how I upcycled a vintage men's blazer. I used 6 neckties to create one-of-a-kind sleeves, and I added a little extra flair to the back. This is a stylish, sustainable project that anyone who sews or thrifts can try. Let's get into it. This is the vintage blazer I started with. It's a classic fitted blazer full of potential. I love the structure, but I wanted to give it a unique twist. I went into my closet, pulled out a few ties that I have thrifted over the past year, and I just looked at different options, started playing around with color and pattern combinations. I ended up picking out 6 ties that work together both in texture and tone. This part is important when you're picking out the ties, because some ties are just too silky or too fragile, while others have really great structure for sleeves. Now, I did use a seam ripper and I used a pair of scissors to take each of the ties apart. I carefully removed the interfacing and everything just so that I would end up with a nice clean tie. This step takes a lot of patience, but it's worth it to get usable fabric. Once they were taken apart, I washed each tie by hand in the sink to get rid of any stains or smells. I then squeezed them to get the excess water out, not wringing, squeezing to get the excess water out, and I hung them in my shower to dry overnight. After they had dried, I pressed them to remove any creases and wrinkles to give me a nice, clean, smooth surface to work with. I also removed any of the leftover tags, any of the leftover hooks, and this way we just had flat fabric to work with. There's a lot of fabric in ties, and we might not think of that because ties are long and skinny, but when you open them up, they have such width to them, and some are wider than others. I showed you that in an earlier clip. Now what I want to do is put some of these next to each other and figure out like which ones are going to make a really nice sleeve. Now, most of these ties are kind of on the darker side, which I don't mind because up against the navy blue, that's going to be really nice. But I would like to lean a little lighter than darker. I like those two next to each other, but I think they need to be broken up. I really do. So I feel like something like that or a stripe maybe needs to go. We're gonna bring out our jacket. Now we've got to take these sleeves off. I'm actually really comfortable with the sleeve and how the shoulders fit. We don't have to do a whole lot of adjusting. However, I do want to give the jacket a little more shape. So once we get the sleeve off, I'm going to put the jacket back on. We're going to taper it in a little bit here. I also want to take one of the ties and do something in the back. I wanted to have a party in the back. I don't know what kind of party. I don't know if it's going to be a dance party or a toe tap party, smooth jazz, disco. We don't know yet, but we're taking the sleeve off. This sleeve was a pretty good length. I am not taking off the lining because I need that. I don't want to have to create another lining. I'm going to come down to edge of the sleeve, and let's see, it might be easier to go from here. Yeah, we're gonna just go in and we're just gonna take these stitches out. I'm only going to show you this one side. No two jackets are the same, so the way you disassemble a jacket could be totally different from the way you disassemble a number. So I don't spend a whole lot of time on this. What I will say, I'm putting that sleeve to the side. I will say that when I get ready to put my sleeve on here, it is going to, I'm probably going to have to, oh, it's not lined all the way through, so that's good. So that won't be simple. I mean, that will be simple. What I was thinking was if this was lined all the way through, I would have to cut a piece of the lining open so that I could get inside and put the sleeve on, but not a problem. Okay, so now we have this where it is. I am thinking I'm taking that out. I don't want it. I just don't want that much structure. This fabric is polyester. It's stiff. I don't need a shoulder pad. I don't need it. If I feel like I need it, I can slide it back in later, but I don't need it. So this is really good. This is a vintage jacket and it's very bare bones, very basic. All right, so this is good. We're gonna leave the lining in. I'm gonna take the other sleeve off, but I'm going to use the sleeve that we removed and use it as a pattern to create my new sleeve. It's a regular suit sleeve, but my sleeve is not going to be this structured. I'm not looking for, you know, any kind of sleeve that is structured like that. So what I'm going to do is I am actually going to cut this sleeve right up under the underarm, and I'm going to lay it out, and then I'm going to create my sleeve from this. This one does have a little bend in it because it is made like a tailored jacket, but that's not what we're going for. That's not the look that we want. We're going to cut this right down the middle. Cut that right up the middle. And when we open it up, it gives us a great sleeve. Now I want my sleeve a little longer, obviously wider. All right, so now I'm gonna put this to the side and we're gonna start with our first, okay, this is our first sleeve that we're gonna start with. Now you'll notice I left the base in. I did not disassemble that because I wanted to keep that in there. I wanted to have that weight in the bottom. And what we're gonna do, I'm going to pin this here. Let me get my pins. I'm gonna pin it together and then we're gonna sew it together. This is what I've done so far, pinned those two pieces together. Now I'm gonna just lay this sleeve on top just to get an idea of how long, how far I need to go up. I'm gonna say that the end of this sleeve is gonna be right at the top. Oh, let me slide up. So I'm ending the sleeve, this sleeve, which when I tried it on, it hits like right here, okay? So I am extending the bottom of the ties. I'm stopping right at the edge of where this sleeve is. And then I know I need to pin all the way up to here. And let's just double check the length. So I'm checking the hem of the original sleeve just above the triangle here at the bottom. And then we're gonna go all the way up there. We're gonna use the rest of this. Let's make sure that it will reach before we cut it. But I wanna make sure that I'm gonna have enough to come down on each one of these. It's not gonna make the sleeve that much bigger, but because we want the billowiness of it, I'm gonna add. So I just wanna make sure that they all will reach, and they will. That's gonna be that. So you can tell, oh, that's gonna be so beautiful. I'm loving it already. So here we go, the top. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this across here, okay? Then we are going to alternate, starting with the light blue. So we're gonna start sewing at the point that we have connected the bottoms of the triangle of the ties. We're gonna just start there. If I need to take those out later, that's fine, but we're gonna start here. This is the first sleeve. I just love the way these colors flow together. Don't they look beautiful? And I gotta decide how I'm going to press these seams. I think I'm just gonna press the seams open. I think that's probably the best way. Make sure you have some good steam in your iron. And yes, I use Niagara. If you know, you know. But I found that this is better for the environment instead of a aerosol can. It's just a spray bottle, and I just spray a little on areas where I really want it to be crisp. I use this on all my white shirts. All right, you guys, we've got the two pieces of fabric made. Basically, that's what I'm doing, is I'm creating my own fabric. So let's start with, actually, I'm gonna have to put these on top of each other. All right, so here's our first piece. I'm gonna put the second piece on top. I'm gonna line these up as close as we can. Try to get the bottoms even. They're about the same width, although I'm gonna flip this because this top piece is a little bit shorter. But I basically took the bottom edge, made those even all the way across like that. And now I'm gonna grab my sleeve and I'll put the sleeve on top. I'm not as worried about this not matching up right here at the top because we do have so much extra down here at the bottom. I want to keep this fullness here in the sleeve. We're maintaining the width here. And what I'm gonna do is just come up to like right about there, and then I'm gonna make this curve. All right, and I'm gonna use my pinking shears because I mean, I am eventually going to probably serge that. Well, maybe I probably won't. Let's just be honest. I'm not going to serge it. I'm gonna go ahead and stitch this here, ease the sleeve cap, and then we're gonna go back. Actually, let's go back to the jacket. I did take in the sides of the jacket just to give it a little more shape and so that it would fit me better. It is a men's jacket after all. And then next, I sewed the sleeve together at the underarm. Every time I sew a seam, I press. Sew a seam and press. This is really important. Now I'm going to run the basting stitch across the top of the sleeve, and we're going to leave at least like 5 to 7 inches of thread after we stitch that, and we're just going to pull the bobbin thread to create the sleeve cap. We'll talk about sleeves later, but this is just, if you know, you know. But if you're a seasoned seamstress, you know how to do this. Otherwise, stay tuned for videos where we talk about inserting sleeves. Anyway, as you can see, after I pull the bobbin thread, I take my fingers and I kind of smooth out the fabric so that we can then insert the sleeve into the armhole. And I don't mind a little gathering at the top of the sleeve, so I didn't want it completely smooth. If I wanted it completely smooth, I would have had to cut a more precise sleeve, but that's not what I was going for. Because this fabric is nice and flowy, I can have a little bit of gathering on the shoulder. It's fine. Now we are going to insert the sleeve into the armhole, and we're going to start at the underarm seam and work our way to the top. I did figure out where the middle of the sleeve was, or the top middle of the sleeve, and match that up with the shoulder seam. And then I just ease the fabric into the rest of the armhole. I didn't take the armhole in any extra. Maybe I should have, after I try it on, I might make those adjustments. But for right now, it's fine to put the sleeve in as you normally would. What's nice about this jacket is that the lining was separate and it's still intact. So I love that about this jacket. And I'm just here pinning the sleeve in all the way around and making sure that the gathers are evenly distributed across the top of the sleeve. And I think this is going to be just fine. The next frame, you'll see me putting the other sleeve in, but you do it just the same way. It's just going to go a lot faster. Now we're getting close to being finished, and I am sewing the sleeve into the armhole. And as I'm sewing, I'm looking to make sure that everything is meeting up. I'm also using my fingers to kind of spread out the fabric because I don't want it to bunch up. And then I did decide, after I tried it on, that I wanted to gather the bottom of the sleeve. And so I took a little piece of elastic, measured it around my wrist, and I sewed the elastic just above the points of the ties. I stretched and pulled, and I actually pushed the fabric through a little bit and made a little bit of the fabric gather. Because I didn't want it to fit like super tight, but I did want it to be visibly gathered at the wrist. I just thought this looked better than the sleeve just hanging loose. It was just a preference of mine. And then I decided I had a little bit of fabric left over. What can I do with this fabric? What can I add extra to just give it, Jen's own unique style and flair? And so I decided to take some strips of the leftover fabric, sew them together to make one long strip, and run that strip down the back of the jacket. Now, in the past, on the back of jackets, I've put butterflies on there. I've done tree branches. I've done just a mix mash of different shapes and things on the back of jackets. I think this adds interest. And so I just took that piece of fabric, pressed it nice and flat, and I did a zigzag stitch down each side and sewed it down the back of the jacket. Again, just adding a little something. All right, you guys, let's try this on and see how we like it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I really like the way the jacket turned out. I paired it with this faux leather navy blue skirt that you guys saw me thrift. If you've been here, if you wanted the real ones, as the young folks say, then you saw this skirt 3 years ago. And I'm happy that I can still wear it, although it's snug. It's snug, and I'm gonna need to get it together. But I want you to take a look at the sleeve, put on pants with it, and see how I like. When I was outside, I cropped it. So let's see if we can do it. All right, so I folded it under, and then I'm buttoning it, and I'm straightening out the insides. I do think it makes it a little more bulky. I also feel like it changed the look a little bit. Like, I just feel like it gives it just something else different. Now, if I really wanted to smooth this out and make it, so that it really looks like it should, I would put a belt on the inside, to keep it from sliding, maybe pin it. But I thought the crop look was kind of cute. I just think it's different. You will not see yourself anywhere unless you come around me. You won't see it. So I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know which pairing you like the most. Do you like the faux leather skirt? Do you prefer the pants? Do you like the sheer skirt? What would you wear with something like this? And if you decide to create this look, this upcycle, please email me and let me know. All right. Don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter. I know it's a whole lot of instructions. Like, comment, subscribe to my newsletter, all the things. All right. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you beyond belief. Don't forget to like. All right. See you later.